thing, because we've got the inquiry that's pending, and a lot of cabinet ministers, like Rishi Sunak, have said that they're going to await the inquiry, and it was right that the Prime Minister apologised. From where I'm standing, if the Prime Minister had said, I did this knowingly, I went to a party, I broke the very laws that we set, I don't think that would give him much room to manoeuvre. He would have to resign. Where what he's done is sort of smart in a way, if you want to give him that, because he said, I attended, I was there for 25 minutes, I thought it was a work event. It's technically within the rules because of that. And that has given him a bit of room to manoeuvre. And I think with the pending inquiry, it'll also look at sort of what these rules, the impact that the rules had, and whether or not they made any sense, which will be very convenient again for the Prime Minister. I think where Rishi Sunak is concerned, I did notice there was a marked difference between the tweet that he put out and the tweet that Liz Truss put out. Liz Truss made it quite clear that she supported the Prime Minister 100%, regardless of what the outcome of the upcoming inquiry will be. Whereas Rishi Sunak pivoted it on the outcome of the inquiry. So if it turns out that the Prime Minister did wrong, he knew that it was a party and intended anyway, I think Rishi Sunak will be very quick to pull his support and, yes, be in the running for leader. He's very focused on his career right now, definitely.
Yes, I think that Liz Truss's fulsome statement of support was made while carrying a knife in her backhand, ready to stab right into Boris's back. So both of those people would not give a damn if Boris has to fall on his sword, because they fancy their chances. This is the ruthless world of politics. To go back to that party that he now admits he attended, he has clung on to the only hope he's got. He has one hope, and that is that, incredibly, Sue Gray decides that bring your own bottle, enjoy the lovely weather after we've been working so hard, was in fact an extension of the office. So the only chance Boris has got is that Sue Gray decides that all those people with a drink in their hands on a sunny day, chatting, eating crisps, were working. Because if they weren't working, 40 people were not allowed to be together. So that's how thin his chances are. And Sue Gray has got a reputation for independence. I just don't see how she can decide this is a work event. If it's not a work event, he attended the party, he's gone.
See, this is the thing, because on the one hand, how could Boris have been so stupid and so arrogant as to think that he could go around attending parties, doing whatever the hell he wanted, whilst people in this country could not see their dying and vulnerable elderly loved ones? It's absolutely disgusting. But then, on the other hand, it does demonstrate in a way that, the Prime Minister himself and a lot of people in Downing Street at that time weren't that concerned about COVID. Let's just be honest, if they could find time to have, boozy parties, because this isn't the first time we've heard about rule breaking. They clearly weren't acting like they had the virus, because they were fine drinking together. So it does demonstrate that these rules didn't make sense in the first place. So now the public should be looking at these rules in the same way the politicians did, and they should be looking at the rules with disregard, because such cruel restrictions on people's lives should never be okay. And the Prime Minister has demonstrated that himself.
Dominic, I think this comes down to an issue of the Prime Minister's integrity and his honesty. I mean, we know he's an inveterate liar and has been all his life. He thinks that gets him out of trouble. He's finding out that if you have a job like Prime Minister, the most important job in the country, little boy lies don't get you out of anything. So I think this is coming as something of a shock to him. Now, today, this is another reason I think his popularity is disintegrating, is being annihilated, is because he's a coward. I mean, he was supposed to visit Lancashire today, and he pulled out, citing the fact that a member of his family had COVID, so he couldn't really go. Well, that didn't mean anything. That wasn't against the rules for him to go. He pulled out because he was scared of facing the media. This guy's got to stand up like a man. I thought they made men of substance at Eton. but they haven't made a man of substance here. This is a liar and a coward. These are not good traits for the Prime Minister. And I say this as someone who always wanted him to do well. I still sort of like him, and I'm really sorry about this nonsensical Partygate scandal, but ridiculous reasons can fell people in high places. And Partygate, I'm afraid, 9 parties are being investigated. I just can't. I can't see how Boris can wriggle out of this, and how Sue Gray can decide all 9 parties were just fine and dandy and no rules are broken. Because if she does find that, if that is her conclusion, everyone will go, this is a disgusting whitewash.
You are right. But at the same time, one thing I am worried about with regards to the Prime Minister resigning, and I've written about this week, is that, what is the alternative? And previously, I've been very much against this line of, it's a choice between the devil you know and the devil you don't. But at the same time, I'm curious as to why these revelations are coming out now. You said 9 parties. I really don't think that no journalist whatsoever and no one in the cabinet or even within Parliament in general weren't aware that these things were going on, because they date back to, May 2020, yeah. December 2020. I'm really curious as to why this is all coming about now. And one thing that I really want to focus on is that the Prime Minister, when we review Plan B restrictions on the 26th of January, apparently is set to remove all of the restrictions. And it's clear that Boris is very anti this COVID pantomime. I really want that to happen, but I'm afraid if we see a resignation and he's replaced by someone like Rishi or Truss or even Gove, which would spell worse,
or Jeremy Hunt. Jeremy Hunt's in the hunt as well.
Or Jeremy Hunt. There would have to be a general election because Truss, Gove, Sunak, they were in cabinet, a part of this toxic circle that were partying away. There would have to be a general election, and then we'd get the option of Labour. And the truth is, if Welsh Labour's behaviour is anything to go by, it's worrying.
But there won't be a general election. They'll stick around. I think there's 19, 20 months to go, or 29 months is it, until the next election. And whoever takes over, their job will be to steady the ship.
But they can call an early one.
But they won't. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? They've got an 80. They've still got a 78 seat majority. Whoever does that, they will steady the ship. They will stay there. So whatever happens on January the 26th, and whatever happens in the next week, if Boris does have to go, if the Sunday papers do have one more party, that will be the final nail in his coffin. Rishi Sunak or Liz Truss or Jeremy Hunt or someone will take over. There won't be an election. There definitely won't be an election. Why would they do that? Why would they do that?
Because in the context of his resignation, and it will likely be someone that the person that replaces him will likely be in cabinet already. And I think that the view of the country will be, we shouldn't have another person replacing the Prime Minister that was a part of the cabinet that was partying 9 times.
Yeah, but you're talking about an ideal world here, and I'm afraid the people have no say in this. The people who have a say are Tory MPs. They will vote in someone like Rishi Sunak, whose job will be steady the ship, go back to Conservative values, jettison all this green claptrap, bring us low taxes, low public spending, and then we will get back the popularity that Boris has lost us. Let me ask you about one other thing, Dominic. We've got better get it in. What did you make of this Chinese situation where MP Barry Gardiner, former Labour minister, turns out he's taken £700,000 in donations from someone who used to work in his office, whose name is Ms. Lee. What is her first name? Christine Lee. And Christine Lee has now left his employ some time ago. And MI5 have warned about this. He said he's liaising with MI5. Obviously maintains nothing wrong was done. Ian Duncan Smith today said, this is extremely worrying that effectively an agent of the Chinese government was donating massive amounts of money to a Labour MP's office. And Christine Lee's son only left Barry Gardiner's employ this morning. This is quite worrying, isn't it?
Yeah, from what I read, her son managed his schedule. So her son was aware of everything that, Mr. Barry Gardiner was getting up to. And the donations were funneled through Christine Lee's solicitor company that she owns. She's a partner in. And that's how he received the donations. Apparently, they were for funding his staffing costs, which is, I don't know, it's very, very convenient. But one thing I will say, I think it's clear that China is not our friend and has never been our friend. They're trying to influence our politics. I even read an article today that talks about the Beijing Winter Olympics, with Team GB stars being told about leaving their mobile phones at home because of worries about cybersecurity. So it's clear that there are worries with the Chinese government. And I think it's clear now that we need to stop being so friendly. We need to start using a few harsh words and taking this seriously. And Ian Duncan-Smith was completely right. Why isn't more being done? She shouldn't just be banned from Parliament. There should be a full-on investigation about how far this spans.
Yeah, she was just asked to not return to Parliament, which seems a small punishment. Barry Gardiner, of course, says he's done nothing wrong, that he's been liaising with MI5 for a number of years, but I think he has some serious questions to answer.
And Richard Burgon, I mean, his defence of the Chinese government on LBC not long ago, I think maybe we need to start asking him some questions too.
Indeed, and don't forget Diane Abbott, who once said Chairman Mao wasn't all bad. He did kill about 33 million people, but apart from that, he did have his good points. Stay where you are, Dominique. We'll come back to you after these messages. I want to talk about Jonathan Van-Tam, who was apparently Boris Johnson's favourite soothsayer. Mysteriously and mystifyingly to me all day, the press has been hailing Jonathan Van-Tam as a COVID hero. This is one of the guys who told us that we had to go into lockdown. This is one of the guys who was the architect of our over-draconian policies throughout the COVID crisis, which Lord David Frost today denounced as something that will be seen as a serious policy mistake. That's the former Brexit minister who said he was quitting because of these ludicrous Plan B restrictions that they put on to save us from Omicron, that won't kill you but will make you feel a bit sniffly for a couple of days. We don't need government help for a condition that just makes you a bit ill for a couple of days. So ridiculous. But why are they hailing Van-Tam as a hero? He's not a hero.
Are you really surprised? Of course they'd be hailing him as a hero. The journalists in the mainstream media, the BBC, Sky, Channel 4, they've all been clamouring for more and more restrictions. They haven't asked about the efficacy of lockdown, whether or not they're effective, whether or not they work, but rather they've been asking why not more, why not harder, longer lockdown. So of course they're going to see him as a hero. And look, reportedly, he's taking up this new role at the University of Nottingham, not because of the latest, Partygate revelations, but because it was something that, he was due to do for quite a while. I'm not sure I believe that, because I
don't either. Sorry to interrupt it, but it is well known that Jonathan Van-Tam in particular, I mean, none of the Sage Gang were particular fans of people who break the COVID rules, but Van-Tam apparently took an extremely dim view of anyone who broke the rules, because that's the way those medical people are. They're very autocratic about their little lockdowns that didn't work. Thanks very much, Jonathan, JVT. So the speculation is, and I think there's something in it, that he's furious that the lawmakers, i.e. Boris and his mates, turned out to be the lawbreakers. So he's out of there.
Yeah, completely out of there. And, I was personally very, very happy to hear about him quitting. That's just one less person, one less lockdown pusher influencing the Prime Minister and government. I know maybe that sounds extreme, but, the likes of Whitty, the likes of Van-Tam, they've been instrumental in removing a lot of our freedoms, our fundamental freedoms. Agreed. Especially Chris Whitty, especially with Omicron as well. They were both scaremongering terribly about that and ended up being completely wrong. So the less of them, the better, in my view.
Indeed, yes. The one good thing I might say about this is Jonathan Van-Tam loved being on telly and all that, but also, so he probably sees, as Omicron tends to rub out the problems with the COVID crisis. We do seem to be heading in the right direction. A lot of people say within a month or January the 26th, all restrictions might be lifted. So he might have decided, well, my work here is done and I'm not going to get on the telly much more, so I might as well quit. So that could be a good sign.
Yeah, I think so as well, especially when we know that the Prime Minister is extremely unlikely to place us in another lockdown. And like I said before, about the 26th of January, he's set to lift all those restrictions. So, you know, it's clear that sage scientists, Whitty and Van-Tam, their influence is sort of waning a bit. I think they had the use at the time, but the public mood is actually changing. And I think we no longer really want to listen to them scaremongering, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I mean, he's not a hero to me. I wish him well, but he is not a hero to me. He's the architect of those lockdowns. They said that they were really necessary. We now know they don't work. Lord David Frost said the reimposition of those Plan B restrictions was exactly the reason he quit, because he can't see any reason to continue with all this nonsense. I hope you're right, and on the January the 26th, all of this stuff gets lifted. Dominic, great to talk to you as always. We'll do it again next week.